you know the feeling of something is missing in my life? It can last for years, an entire life, if you fall back to your routine. Every time you ignore it, it's like dying a bit more. So I say to myself, today I face it and my life changed forever. You are dependent. In your mother's womb, you get food, blood, oxygen, and then life, your first breath. You have a new mother now, Mother Earth. Air, food, blood. You grow and you are dependent again. Your senses, gravitation, emotions, ego, social life, family, school, friends, partner, a new needs, a new car, a new phone, and then you have your job, you have a career, and the monster of money, good life, fashion, technology, and your addictions. You smoke, or drugs, or alcohol and sex, porn, gambling, social media, and then you must be more social. You must share your life with the world. Share every moment of your new perfect life. Speaking to a phone with your virtual friends and wait for their fake comments and likes to get your daily reward of dopamine. You are where your mind is. It's up to you to choose in which world to live. It's your turn to work your freedom out from this mess, from the so-called material world. No fake gurus, no isolation, no climbing the Himalaya. Just be yourself. Connect to your divine spark and express it here in this world. The seed is in you, but don't waste it. A birth is painful. A circumcision, even more. When blood comes out, have no fear. Your old self is being sacrificed. You have the potential to connect, to build the holy temple. It's written, "Ve'asu li mikdash ve'shachanti betocham." They shall make for me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell within them. The divinity will dwell within each and every one of us. But who can guide you? Who will tell you that you have a spark, a divine spark within you? You are a soul in a physical body. You can experience unity with the Creator. You are a chariot for divinity. How to work it out in reality? Who will tell you that there is a work to do? Religion is the answer. But what is religion?
How much religion affected you as a child in Italy?
Well, you know, in southern Italy it's like that. You're born with black eyes or brown hair. You know what I mean? Come mangiare pasta ogni giorno.
Pizza and lasagna?
Exactly. Christianity comes with birth. Like playing soccer in the street. You take the ball and run. You don't ask questions. It's part of your life. Imagine a little village, 6,000 people, great landscape and sun and coastline, job, family, friends, routine, and you follow the local ships. Church, bell rings, bow to the statue, and walk after the cross and confess your sin to the shepherd. I was pretty wild as a kid. I think my mother knew that. So she put me in a school with the nuns. I was about 5 years old, I guess. Now, can you imagine a young kid full of life, surrounded by black and white frustrated nuns? I mean, I simply wanted to be a kid. You know kids, right? They have to move, run and enjoy and scream. Worst period of my life. I remember there was a special room, dark, where they threatened to close me if I wouldn't follow their rules. Sometimes I was not permitted to move from my seat, even to go to the bathroom. I used to go back home sometimes with different clothes because I wetted myself. My mother used to say, "Who's this? Brought back the wrong kid?" But listen, everything was done in the name of the Lord. Luckily enough, years later, I got a promotion. I joined the local priest as an altar boy. I thought, I don't get by with the ladies, let's try with the men. Only later I understood that men and women were created to be together and not to run away from each other. I think I was 10 years old back then. I walked into a trap with this priest. Even then, I got the best lesson of my life. Bow to the statue, bow to the cross, subordination, frustration, no self-esteem, never show your real self, hide your emotion, serve the priest no matter what he does. You know what I mean? There's a God, but the priest does what he wants and you must obey them. It's a manipulation of life through fear. Fear of sin and devil and the fire of the hell and the priest himself and the chain up to the cardinal and the pope, maybe down. Anyway, pure idolatry. The confession was my favorite moment. Every normal person would think, wait a minute, there is a God, just speak to him and solve the problem. You don't need anyone between, right? Can you imagine this old man closing himself in a little dark box and asking the kids what do they do? It's time for them to emerge from these black boxes. Maybe they themselves will find time to confess directly to God. Some people put you down when they see you're going higher. I started to ask questions about existence or our role in this world as human beings. What is to be done to reach freedom, but I didn't get answers. In the best case, the answer was open your heart and love, 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 love. You know that?
Love, love, love.
In the worst case, the answer was don't worry, Yoshke came to save you. He did everything. No problem. Go enjoy life. What do I need to do? I used to ask. I was told nothing. What does it mean nothing? I must understand more so I can change myself. They used to say, listen, he came, he saved you, you made it, man, please go to play with the ball. So I took them seriously. Now my dream was to become the best soccer player in Italy, Serie A player, Champions League. Well, I was pretty good with my feet. I was selected for a tryout by a good Italian soccer team, but Baruch Hashem, this time my parents saved me. They wanted me to go to university, so I stopped running after a ball. When you focus on your feet, you don't really need to use your head, right? That's the society we live in today. skilled with the feet and dumb with the mind, skilled with your fingers on a phone, but empty in your heart. I left my spiritual search and focused on science. I got my degree and I started to work, and money, a new car, illusion of career, your home company, office, home office, and feed the monster. The more money you get, the more you need. I was very interested in computer coding. How can a string of numbers, 1 and 0, change the lives of people? Technology can really help humanity. I believed in that. Back then, I didn't think that this would consume us. Now we need to protect ourselves from technology. In a fraction of seconds, we behave and make decisions based on impulses we experience by watching screens, most of the times without filters. Do we agree to receive all this information? And what's sad about it is that you have no defenses. You are abused, mentally abused, psychologically and physically abused by most of this overwhelming information. You didn't ask for that. The answer to this flood of information is, let's defend ourselves from technology using more technology. What a big mistake. The endless spiral we are caught in today, I believe, is technology. So I thought, I have only one way to save myself: disconnect. Took me years to realize I was fed up. Every day, 10 hours per day, eyes on a screen and fingers running on plastic keyboards, eating junk food before running back to office. I started to have migraines and shakings or nausea or strange electrical waves running into my body. I ended up with panic attacks. Your disease is an opportunity. It's telling you, hey there, listen, it's time to change. You know yourself, you know what's the right thing to do, but you run to your doctor. Again, fear. And your doctor has a long list of patients waiting in line. So he gives you Xanax, so you burn your brain, and he solves his problem. I remember myself walking on a beach that day, sun on my face, tears. I realized I was at a crossroad, and I said to myself, I don't want to take this crap. That very day, I left all my tears and fears. I took a bag, I jumped on my Vespa, and I drove to my freedom. I rented a small house in the forest, up on a hill, in a village with a few hundred people. The sea and olive trees, lemons, vineyards, roses, birds, and silence. I closed my company and I started to live. Totally immersed in nature, I was listening for the first time. A voice was teaching me, who am I? I went back to be curious like a kid. I wanted to know more about this world, but in the real sense. I showed my face to the world. No masks, no filters, no social media, just me. I experienced again the deep feeling of loneliness. Loneliness is a healer, no place to hide. I just faced it and I felt like coming back home, my inner home. Long walks between sea and mountains and searching different worlds, minerals and plants and animals, or human realm in all its aspects. physical and emotional, mental or supernatural. I read a lot. I was attracted by all sorts of subjects, and philosophy and religion and history, astronomy, mysticism, psychology, music. I started to write. My creative part, my bright brain was waking up and started to tie down the left brain, the analytical one, like Avraham Avinu did with Yitzchak, his son.
So how did you discover the Torah?
I remember I was reading a book about history of religions. There I saw them for the first time. They were pure divine science. I was tuning into a new, unexplored world, 22 letters that promised to reveal all the secrets of creation. A holy chain of Hebrew letters, like chromosomes of a brand new body called Torah. If you are true to yourself, then you know how to recognize truth. I simply followed the tracks, the Hebrew letters. I went back to the university, this time to study ancient and modern Hebrew language. And there I found my first contact with the Torah. Me and Mario, another student, decided to take it seriously. We used to meet every day in my house in Naples and study Bereshit in Hebrew, all day long, from morning to the evening. That was our daily food, spiritual food. We were listening to an audio of a certain rabbi and then repeat it ourselves to understand the meaning. I remember sometimes it could take 10 minutes to read and understand one verse. So the book of Bereshit was speaking to me. The Torah teaches who you are, where you came from, and what do you need to do to fix the world, your little world, first of all. All the bestsellers, unfortunately, have fake copies. Idolatry cults pretending to suckle from that lively spring of knowledge. They monopolize, they control masses, give a fake and scary model for survival, and let people continue to sleep, trapped in a dream like everything is fine, just fear me, bow to me, no work needs to be done. As a human being, I felt that I was advancing in the next stage of consciousness. But for that, I needed a manual. Well, the world has this holy and amazing manual, and its name is Torah. The Torah was given to the Jews, but is accessible to the world, of course in the original Hebrew language. Our sages said that the Torah can be read in 4 different levels. We know that the word paradise comes from the Hebrew word pardes. It means orchard, a garden. But pardes is even an acronym. It's a word of 4 letters corresponding to the 4 letters of the holy name, to the 4 elements, to the 4 spiritual words, and to the 4 levels of soul that we can achieve. The pei of pardes stands for the Hebrew word pshat, the simple explanation of the Torah. And the resh stands for remez, a hint, an allegorical reading of the Torah. And the dalet stands for drash, to inquire, to go deep in the text through the study of the main sources like the Talmud or the Midrashim. And the samech stands for sod, the esoteric meaning of the Torah, the secrets behind the text and behind our existence. Adam olam katan. The sages say that man is a microcosm, an image of divinity. We, as human beings, live in a reality that is parallel to a higher spiritual world. I was reading in the Torah about the Avot, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and his brothers, King David, and I was learning about the history of the Jewish people, of course, but even more. I clearly felt that these were much deeper teachings for me. I was learning about my physical, psychological, and subconscious processes, attributes. My old world broke into pieces under my eyes, and Bereshit was promising day after day to fix it. Like a puzzle, I was using that same pieces, but in a correct way, not forcing a false image of myself. Instead, I was building a new self, a new being, totally in tune with divinity. All humanity is called to take part consciously in this process that is unfolding every day more in front of our enlightened eyes. It's up to you. Ignore it or participate.
So when did you arrive in Israel for the first time?
In June 2014, I walked the streets of Jerusalem for the first time in this life. Sirens sounded in Jerusalem and all over the country to warn about rockets falling from the Gaza Strip. I felt protected. Baruch Hashem. I was fully conscious that I wouldn't be harmed. I came in Jerusalem to study Torah, and that's it. Nothing else could prevent that. And the first thing I did to connect with the Jewish people was studying their language. I went to the Ulpan and the Aleph, Bet, Gimel, and I found out that 90% of the modern Hebrew language comes from the Torah. Isn't that amazing? You speak in the street and create worlds. Practically, it's the same language of 3,500 years ago. It's so powerful. But you must be careful with what you say. You're using now a divine language. My only desire was to study Torah. I wanted to fix myself. But how? Where? And with who? I stayed for the first month in a hostel. I was going to Ulpan and trying to meet people, talking about Torah, learning about Jerusalem, its history, its holy places. The idea of Am Israel, as I pictured it in my mind, broke in pieces in a few days when I understood the different aspects and cultures of these special people. Now that they were coming back from the diaspora, which lasted 2,000 years, I had a deep feeling of love for all the Jews I met in the street. I remember I felt at home walking in the Mea Shearim. I was like going hundreds of years ago in the Eastern Europe. I used to look at these guys in these strange clothes and hats and recognizing them, my family. In the Achi Shmuli, or this is my mother, Leah, or Yankele, my father, Saba Dov. Once I told to an old man in Mea Shearim, "You really look like my grandfather." I wanted to hug him. He was upset. He told me, "מה אתה רוצה ממני? תעזוב אותי. Leave me alone. What do you want from me?" How do you say that in Yiddish?
Lass mir ab, was willst du von mir?
Yeah, that's what he told me. And I had the same feeling in Tel Aviv. These people are my family. With some friends in Arlozorov, in the bars, there in Frischman or Yafo, I was witnessing Jewish people coming back to Eretz Israel. It was not a movie. It's real happening now. I was there looking at it from my narrow angle and astonished, amazed. Different cultures, different faces and clothes and opinions, but definitely one big family. My family. United consciously or unconsciously by the Holy Torah and by one God. I delayed my flight as far as I could. I really didn't want to go back to Italy. My visa was expiring, so I decided to spend the last weekend in Tzfat. Booked a place in the old city and started to walk around. There are 4 cities in Israel connected to the 4 elements. Hebron is earth, and Jerusalem is fire, and Tiberias is water, and Tzfat is air. Well, my first time in Tzfat was like flying. Big Kabbalists like the OR YASHAR or Chaim Vital or the Ramak or Dovero, they were walking this street. I remember it was a Friday morning, a few hours before Shabbat, and the young yeshiva boy came close and I was walking in the street and he asked me, Nachta tefillin? He didn't know I was not a Jew. I didn't know what was tefillin. And definitely I didn't know what really meant to be a Jew. So look at me with a big smile and said, ready to fly? So he took 2 black boxes from this bag, put one on my arm, and then tied 7 times the stripe, and put one in the middle of my head, and then looked at me and took a page and said, read aloud. So I closed my eyes with a trembling voice, and I said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That Friday was a special day for me. I knew that Shabbat was coming, but not much more than that. And the main concern was to buy food in advance, otherwise everything would be closed. While I was walking in Tzfat, I recognized in the eyes of a man something familiar, all dressed in white, a long peos, a black long beard. It was like we already knew each other since a long time. I talked to him. When I told him my name, he said, this is my son's name. What do you do for Shabbos? Really don't know, I told him. So come to me in Tiberias with my family, he said. I didn't think twice. I took my bag, we went to Tiberias, and that was my first Shabbos with Shlomi. We arrived to his house, took a shower. He gave me all fresh white clothes and told, follow me. In a few minutes walk, we reached the tomb of Rabbi Akiva. And near there, I saw a mikveh for the first time. He said, undress and jump in the water. And that was my first mikveh. Then we had the Kabbalat Shabbat in a nearby synagogue. And we honored the Shabbat in his family, eating and singing together. The day after, he woke me up at 7 in the morning to go to the synagogue. He gave me a siddur, and I lost myself in these wonderful letters for hours. I remember the Birchat HaKohanim, my first time. Amazing. And I remember the faces of the people pointing at the Torah like kids, staring at their most precious gift. My first time. Shining, powerful black leathers on a white cloth, calling me back home. I knew that was my life, my people. All of a sudden, everything made sense for me. And I made peace between all the apparent contradictions of Am Yisrael. Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Yemenite, Ethiopians, South Americans, Indians, Russians, Chinese, Zionists, Datilumi, Kippa Sruga, or traditional and converts, religious, not religious, Jews for Yoshke and Haredi, Ultra Haredi, from one eating only glatle super meadrin to the one eating shrimps in Frischmann or pizza salami in Tony Vespa. That was my family. A queen, a beautiful holy bride ready for the marriage. Neshamot kedoshot, holy souls fallen from the highest of the heavens in this reality. We must not judge anyone. Ki ha'adam mireh la'inayim ve'Hashem mireh la'levav. Man sees with the eyes, but Hashem sees into the heart. This is one holy family. It's one heart. Hashem is taking care to bring near the one that needs. He does it through the Holy Torah. He gives power and strength to do mitzvot and to attach to the Torah. As it's written, Etz Chaimi lamachazikim ba, vetomchea meushar. It's a tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and its supporters are happy. I remember another time I was hosted by Shlomi Tzfat. We went to eat something together and walked back home. It was 1 in the night. He looked at me and said, I go to the forest. Are you coming? 1 in the night? Forest? What do you do there? And he told me, Itbodedut. Meditation in a dark forest at night? I thought, that's amazing. We went to wear something and we went to the forest. We walked there, it was really dark. And in the middle of nowhere, he told me, I have to go now. Wait a minute, I thought, maybe it's dangerous. What do you do? Where do you go? From the dark, he said, you are protected. If you see demons, just say, Nachman, Mehuman. And then he disappeared. I sat under a tree. I was afraid, I was in fear. I remember I heard something moving in the bushes and I screamed, Nachman, Mehuman. It was a cat. That night, my fears of the world were cured. I came back home with a feeling of love. Something higher was installed in me. Something like Hashem is always guarding. I arrived at home at sunrise and Shlomi was not there. When he came back at midday, I asked him if he was okay, if he wanted to eat something. He said that that day he was fasting. The Torah is the only food that Am Israel needs. That's what he told me. I got the lesson. May Hashem protect him wherever he is. Torah is easy to grasp and easy to lose. When I went back to Italy, I came very near to forget about it. I started to lose the feeling and the light and the fire of Jerusalem. So I was studying the book of Shemot, and I felt that that book was speaking to me. I felt like I was in Egypt, and there was no Moses rising above my horizon. My diet had a deep change. I became vegetarian. My body was refusing to eat taref before I even knew what taref was. On the other hand, the pulls were very heavy. I went back to sleep in the material world. It's like quicksand. You go down a little bit more every day, and when you understand it, your mouth is already under the sand. Only from above you can be set free. I remember that day clearly. Hashem presented me a last choice, in or out. Israel or sleep forever. Israel or a mouth full of sand. That glimpse lasted enough to let me book a flight back to Israel. The one that changed my life. A few days later, I was walking again in the streets of Jerusalem. Divine providence is a well-known concept among the Jews. In Hebrew you say Ashgacha Pratit. Our lives are connected. There is a direction, an evolution for our condition as human beings. One who doesn't understand it calls it coincidence. It's not by chance that you meet a person in the street, or that you hear a conversation, or some words come to you, or you find a video online. The fact is that in Israel, Ashgacha Pratit for me became revealed. It's such a flow of events that you risk to get used to it or to treat them like normal, but it's not. If you pay attention to what happens in your life, if you look back to the people you met or the choices you made or the events that led you in a direction and not in another, it's clear. There is a basic plan that is guiding your evolution in life. So the goal is to bring you to a higher level of consciousness, to eat from the tree of life or go back to Gan Eden. The choice is yours. Every moment we have free choice. Some people consider their life events negative, as something that they did not deserve, and they blame the world. What happens to you is connected to your choices. Actually, one way or another, we will get to the final fixing. But in which way? Depends on you, on me, on us. Hopefully not through punishment, but with a big hug. So conversion for me was a rebirth, new life and soul. It's hard to admit that you were wrong for so many years, that your tradition is not really true. It's painful to dig inside and deal with your own garbage. I found out that there is a higher, pure spring of knowledge, and I wanted to get there. I understood that I'm created anew every second of my life. Every morning in Shacharit we say, Am mechadesh betuvo bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. We have all the creation in us. Every moment, Hashem renews its creation in us, through us. Conversion is total surrender. Torah and mitzvot, fear and love, or better, awe and love. Conversion is pain and joy at the same time. So in the Talmud is written that God gave 7 binding laws to the children of Noach, to all the humanity. According to Judaism, people that follow these 7 laws are considered righteous. They have a place in the next world. You're not a Jew, they used to tell me. Just keep the 7 laws of Bnei Noach. I knew it was not enough for me. You want to study Torah like a professor or cold intellectual knowledge? That's what I was asking myself. Or you want to live the Torah with your heart? I choose life. I was ready to put in practice the teachings of the Torah in my everyday life and keep the commandments. Mitzvot. That's how you really change yourself. I was in Jerusalem, no father, no mother, no friends, no work, no house. And what I felt to be my spiritual family was slapping doors in my face from all the sides. I was detached from the world as I used to know it. And my ego and my pride, they were totally erased. I didn't know who I was anymore. When I felt in my flesh and bones that I was completely nothing, Hashem gave me everything I wanted. Now the more I was rejected, the more I felt accepted. And during the first month of conversion, I was completely overwhelmed. Sometimes I couldn't even go out of my bed. So my body was going under full reconstruction and fixing. New shape and new colors on my soul. New cells, new energy. And the result was painful, like a birth, and stress, weakness, and pain all over the body. I was building a new vessel. If I may use an example to describe my conversion process, I would talk about cars. Judaism teaches you how to drive the fastest car in the world, your neshama. But it's even warning you, don't rely only on your human qualities. You will crash. And remember, in every single moment of your life, the architect of the world gave you the opportunity to be part of this amazing soul race called life. We really should start to look at human beings as souls, fallen souls in these physical bodies, because that's what we are, wonderful souls. Jewish tradition explains clearly and in an amazingly detailed way all the levels of the human soul and its attributes and inclinations of man in this world, and the pitfalls, the inner self dynamics. Like a scientist, I was learning, and I'm still learning, how my inner world works and what I must do to fix myself in this physical world to reveal the full potential of my soul.
Today, 6 years after arriving in Yerushalayim, what would you like to say to Am Yisrael in Hebrew?
הנשמה שלי נפלה באיטליה וחזרה לארץ אחרי שהתגיירתי. הקדוש ברוך הוא גילה לי את האותיות הקדושות של התורה שלנו הרבה לפני שידעתי מה זה ארץ ישראל. לא משנה מי את או אתה, תתחברו לתורה הקדושה שלנו. בזוהר הקדוש כתוב, מי שעוסק בתורה כאילו עומד כל יום על הר סיני ומקבל התורה. ראו בתורה איזה פלא ונפלאות וסודות עמוקים נמצאים בציון ובכל העולם. עם ישראל, הגענו לזמן שאיננו מאירות כשמש וכירח, כמו שאמר דוד המלך, גל עיניי והביט הנפלאות מתורתך. And ta-da! She is the one. She is the one. She is my inspiration, my power, my joy, my beautiful wife. She is everything I have. Cut.